other 3 hours of the regular show on terrestrial radio, and you wanted a little bit more, so that's why you found the Gun Talk After Show podcast, where we saved all the best things that we can't say on regular radio. Now here's Tom, Michelle, and Jim for the Gun Talk After Show.
All right, it's the after show. We have Jim Kinsey over there and Michelle Cleland over there, separated again because, like children at school, we can't let you guys sit close together.
We are not.
What?
We're not children.
I don't touch. Not touching.
Keep your hands to yourself. Jeez. Holy
Piece
cow.
of duct tape down the middle of the room.
That's right.
You know, they say, if you can't fix it with duct tape, you're not using enough duct tape.
Right. That's true.
I thought you were going to switch it up and say, go get the gorilla tape or T-Rex tape now.
There you go.
That's true, yeah.
Well, they used to say in rock bands, the only three things you really need in a rock band are duct tape, milk crate, and Rolaids. Pretty much takes care of any situation you'll have in a band.
Well, okay then. Whatever. Oh, my goodness. Well, I do want to talk a little bit about this whole loaded chamber, empty chamber thing, but first, let's get to Scott, who's called in from Carson City, Nevada. Hey, Scott, thanks for waiting. Appreciate it. You're on the after show.
Hey, Tom. It occurred to me, you know, I listened to your thing on empty chambers, and I'm a little bit troubled because I'll contend there's always some finite possibility of an accidental discharge, and not due just to the person. And my solution was, if somebody's concerned about it, why shouldn't they just get a double-action firearm?
Yes. How about a double-action revolver, if that's what really bothers you? And there are some double-action only semi-autos.
Correct.
Or they could do what New York police department did, which is when they said, we can't trust our cops not to shoot themselves because they keep shooting themselves and other people, we'll put like a 1,400-pound trigger pull in these guns. The New York trigger, it really is about a 15-pound trigger pull that they have aftermarketed the Glocks with, and says that will keep them from shooting themselves. Well, no, it actually doesn't, but there you go.
No, I don't think that's going to work.
In essence, it is, in fact, like a double-action trigger because now you've put a 15-pound trigger pull in there. Now, you can't shoot it very accurately, but that doesn't seem to be a real criteria either. I don't know. But, you know, I mean, basically what they do, the way they shoot themselves, is they put their finger on the trigger and then they shove the gun into the holster. Hello.
Why would that be an issue?
I don't know what you do about that. I just don't know what you do. You know, I mean, I know what the answer is, but they don't want to pay for the training. So there you go. But Scott, I kind of like your idea. You know, a double action only pistol might be. I would certainly offer that's a better solution than an empty chamber. I would certainly go there. Now, I see there you got a question about when we're talking about a minute of angle on MOA for shooting rifles, right?
Yes. Now, my question was, is that a minute of angle diameter or radius?
It is 1/60th of 1 degree is what it is.
Yes, but is that from a center? If that's a circle of that all would fit in there, so it's the diameter of a circle that all the bolts would fit in, or is that a radius from the true point of aim?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't understand the question yet. I'm geography or geometry challenged. So what exactly are you asking? I'm not understanding the terms.
Well, okay. That's what I'm saying is if I point my rifle, the point that there's a theoretical point that I'm truly pointing it at. The bullets are going to hit somewhere dispersed around that. If that 1 minute of angle dispersion, is they're all going to be within a 1 minute radius or 1 minute diameter? There's twice the difference on it.
Radius.
Oh, okay. I think I see what you're saying. Is it the distance is measured from the two bullets that represent the outside points of the group?
Okay.
So if you had 5 rounds in the paper, you would simply take the 2 bullet holes that were the furthest apart, and you measure that distance. And if it's at 100 yards, then you can arrive at pretty close to your minute of angle. But that's the angle we're talking about, is the the 2 most divergent bullets.
Got it. Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Oh, my God, that's the first time I have gotten a geometry question right since I had to stay over in summer school in high school to take it again, and they only let me pass it then because they were tired of seeing me.
Oh, I thought maybe because you were going to say you were talking in circles.
Bada-boom.
Sorry.
Bada-boom.
Do you have room in the other room for her, Jim?
No, I have a high-power stapler.
Not the padded room, no.
Not again. Not the padded room.
Yeah, we told her it was soundproofing, but it's actually for her own good.
Oh, my heavenly days. So, okay, clearly there are more people than I thought who are afraid of their guns. They don't feel comfortable, and which means they know they're not competent. Would that be a fair statement, or am I being too harsh?
No, I think you're on track with that. They don't have enough experience. They don't have enough training. Those are all the same words. I mean, you can put anything in there.
They are. We're being nice. But, I mean,
right.
If you're afraid of it, you know that you're not prepared. You know you're not competent. You know, if you don't have confidence, you know you're not competent. And so you're afraid you're going to fire the gun inadvertently.
Right. This is the way of thinking about it, perhaps. If you have, let's say, a SIG P238, right? It's a single action gun. It's cocked and locked. It's basically ready to go. It's sitting on your kitchen table, not acting out, not accidentally going off. That's the same scenario as it sitting safely in your holster. It's not going to go off. So when will it go off? Like you said, when the finger becomes involved with the trigger, when it's not properly pulled out of the holster, right, or put back into the holster correctly. That's when it's going to go off.
It goes off when you tell it to, right?
That's right. You pull that trigger, and that's what happens. It goes bang.
Don't you love that? It just went off. Yeah, it'll do that when you pull the trigger.
You know, and that adrenaline has a way of making that happen even faster.
Well, and that's why you train so that every time you draw, the finger does not touch the trigger. I mean, it goes right up there along the side of the slide, not across the trigger guard low, but along the side of the slide. And then, you draw and the finger's up there. You put it back in, the finger's in there. In fact, I mean, at gun sight, and probably a lot of other places, they draw and then they're doing this drill, they go, finger straight, holster. Every time they say holster, it's finger straight, holster. And just over and over and over again to where it's just drilled into your head that the finger goes straight along the side of the gun before you holster. Now, and this kind of flows into that question we got earlier in the show about constitutional carry. If everybody can carry a gun, then no training is required. Of course, then again, the level of training that's required right now is minimal, but at least it's something. At least it's the legal aspects. At least it's the aftermath. It's what do I do if stuff. And, I'm supportive of constitutional carry, but I'm concerned. Does that make me a hypocrite?
I guess you're seeing both sides of it. I mean, as opposed to having an idea and not looking at any of the downsides, let's just jump in feet first. It'll all be cool. I mean, you want to get all the data you can.
But that's also happening right now with all the people who choose to do open carry. I hate to say that most of them don't go and seek training, but they're carrying a gun visibly on their side. Mm-hmm. They haven't gone through necessarily any type of training.
Right. And we have 11 states that have constitutional carry now, and we're not seeing big problems there. So are we imagining possible problems? I don't know the answer. I would like to know, but it just... I don't know.
I think it comes down to being a concerned person for your safety, for your family's safety, which is why we always say, go and get training. That way everybody on the street has an idea of what to do. And it's teaching yourself the what if. So you have to make it your personal acquisition to go and get training, to be safe, to keep your family safe.
Well, and that's why I was trying to put it in terms of, I'm trying to find the motivation. What can motivate people? Who are you? I know you think of yourself as being prepared, but when you look at yourself in the mirror, are you seeing somebody who's really prepared or somebody who just did the absolute bare minimum? I bought a gun and a holster, but I don't really feel comfortable with all of this. I mean, you got to get to the point where you're absolutely comfortable, like it's your wallet in your pocket, and I know that I know what I'm doing with this.
It's funny.
I don't know. I can't find the right metaphor or analogy here.
Now, when I started shooting, Tom, years ago, and then I stopped and then met you and had no choice at that point.
You were ruined at that point.
I was. Every pistol I had a safety on it because my thinking was, well, it's safer. The safer the better. And now that I usually carry a Glock now, I find myself on the range when I practice. I find my thumb still coming down the left side of that slide. And it's just not hitting anything. So
isn't that funny?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if I want to change that because I don't always carry the Glock. So I guess it's really
also, if you pick up somebody else's gun in the middle of a gunfight, you need to know how to sweep the thumb safety down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't see it as because it's happening while you're doing other things. I don't really see it as wasted motion or time because it's part of the draw stroke as you're acquiring target. I find myself doing. I don't try to break myself of the habit because I don't know if I need to break myself of it.
Well, it's funny because it was so interesting to ask people, did you ever think about how you would rack the slide if you didn't have the use of both hands? And to every single one of them had never even given that any thought. And, I think about the classes we take where we spend a half a day or a day doing one-handed shooting.
Let's talk about that. I mean, I know how to do it, but not all listeners may. Just describe a couple different methods you can chamber.
Well, let's talk about just one-handed shooting. Drawing and shooting with one hand, not that involved. Okay, I mean, everybody could figure out how to do that. Okay, now reload the gun. You just ran out of ammo, but you don't have that other hand. Now what are you going to do? Well, there are a number of different ways. One is to reholster the gun. If you say you're right-handed, reach around with your other hand and get a magazine out, shove it into the magazine of the pistol that's in your holster. Now take the pistol out of your holster. Now you're going to have to rack the slide, or if you can, with your thumb, if the slide is locked back, you could drop the slide that way. That's certainly a way to go. But if the slide is forward, you can hook the rear sight onto your belt, onto a boot, onto the side of a table, hopefully a Chippendale table that is very expensive that you can,
Chippendale or Tiffany?
Well, I don't know. One of those. Chippendale is the furniture, I think.
Is it?
A Tiffany is the
I thought
the glass stuff.
I thought Chippendale were male dancers, but all right.
I thought they were the chipmunks.
I knew that's where he was going to go. I was waiting for it.
I don't have one handy.
I was trying to save him from himself, Michelle.
See, and I thought they were chipmunks. How innocent am I?
You're not that innocent, sweetie.
What? And my next two comebacks I'll keep to myself.
But thank you, yes.
But I'll tell you off air.
Yeah, of course he will.
Sure.
Yeah, but okay, so you're racking the slide. You got to get one in there. Now you're shooting again. So, okay, let's say you draw your gun and there's an empty chamber. You do not have a round in the chamber. You are back to how do I work the slide of this gun without using my other hand? And first of all, let me just say, it's dangerous. If you have not practiced this a lot, you're trying to shove that slide against something or the rear side against something. If it's your belt, guess where that barrel could be pointed? If it's, now you're really setting yourself up for a possible AD, or in this case, an ND, negative discharge, because, remember, the reason you carried the gun unloaded was because you didn't trust yourself to keep your finger off the trigger. So now you're probably going to have your finger on the trigger while you're racking the slide on your belt, and it's pointing at some part of your leg.
That sounds like a snap cap environment to train,
Yeah. Well, that's why we work with trainers who have a set of eyes on you all the time. We're going, okay, stop, slow down, wait a minute, let's do this. And we're going to practice it with an empty gun for an hour over and over and over again. Now we're going to get on the ground and lay on our back, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fight from the ground. Oh, you've never shot from the ground? Do you think you're not going to be on your back in the middle of a fight? Somebody's going to walk up and shove you, push you, knock you down? Pretty good chance you're going to end up fighting on the ground.
But that's not what my CCW instructor said.
Yeah, but my instructor, yeah, I know. If it wasn't so depressing, I would make a video loop of internet videos of concealed carry instructors. And go, okay, the bar is fairly low here, friends and neighbors. Yes, it's worthwhile, and some are really good. Don't get mad at me. Don't send me your emails. Some of you guys are really, really good. But we also know about the other ones, so it'd be foolish to pretend it's
and
otherwise.
not just CCW instructors. I think you remember this. I'm the only one qualified in this room to carry this 40 caliber Glock.
Yeah, DEA agent.
Yes, he was.
Shoots himself with the 40 cal Glock and then reaches over for the AR, and that's when people in the room, all the kids bail. Yeah, we're out of here. I'm the only one in this room qualified. I forgot. That's such a great line.
Best 2 out of 3?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But as I say, that he did kind of hobble around and continue his lecture, even with a bullet hole in his foot that he just put there.
Well,
yow, that's kind of smart.
I thought it was kind of weird that he was able to continue talking while eating crow.
No, but then of course, well, anyway, leave that for another day. Choose your experts carefully. At this point, let me throw in a plug because, yeah, it's a product, but we don't really make any money off of it. We do these DVDs. There's really no money to be. Trust me, there is no money to be made in doing DVDs. But we've got some really good training DVDs available at shopguntalk.com. We have the Concealed Carry 1 and 2. And I would, again, highly recommend getting the Fighting with the 1911 because I know it says 1911, but it's basically gunfighting class with Tiger McKee, who's a really good instructor. And all the stuff applies to whatever pistol that you're carrying. The only difference is basically working the safety, thumb safety, or not. Really good. And then we've got, of course, the first-person offender, the first series there, too, and you can learn a lot from that. You get a lot of the, never thought of that, never saw that coming, why'd they do that? Which kind of forces you into the whole thinking about it.
Yeah, I want to go to shopguntalk.com on this upcoming break. How's that for a hint?
Your not very subtle way of saying, it's time for us to take a break. Thank you, Jim. We'll be right back.
There's that.
At Stag Arms, our firearms are built to exceed limitations and push boundaries. The Stag 10 and 10S from Stag Arms offer recreational and avid .308 shooters better accuracy and performance. Custom-designed forgings give the Stag 10 and 10S tighter tolerances and a modernized style, all while retaining the strength of mil-spec parts. Each model carries Stag Arms' transferable lifetime warranty and infinite shot barrel guarantee. Find out more at stagarms.com.
Get the fastest semi-automatic trigger for your AR rifle with Franklin Armory's BFS trigger. The binary firing system offers a 3-position selector for binary, semi, and safe modes. In binary mode, your AR fires 1 round on pull and 1 round on release. Works in any AR, is easy to install, no paperwork needed. 100% U.S. made, patent pending. The BFS trigger from Franklin Armory. At a dealer near you or at franklinarmory.com.
All right, we're back here with from the urgently reminded break that Jim gave. What'd you think of the letter from the guy
Randy?
Who this morning went to church, took his daughter, and somebody jumps in the back of the car when they're at the gas station?
Oh, that gave me shivers. I mean, I had goosebumps because that is just a chilling thought to think. That happens, and it can happen that fast. And like he said, his reaction was he didn't even think about it. He didn't stop for a second to think about what he was going to do because he did what if. All of this comes down to me. It's a lifestyle change. You want to lose weight and get in shape, then you have to get active. If you want to be safe and carry a gun, then you have to get your training. And we're all committed to that. I mean, Jim, I know you and the protection that you take against your family, all of the doors are locked. I mean, we come into the show, everything's locked behind us. And like you said, it's just something as a child growing up in the middle of Michigan, that's something that you did because of the time frame. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of these vehicles force doors to be locked. Some of them only lock at a certain mileage, miles per hour type of a thing.
And some of those you actually have to defeat. Tom and I talked about this a couple of years ago. I have a car that when you start it, it's unlocked. When you put it in drive, it locks your doors. Mm-hmm. But and as soon as you put it in park, it unlocks your doors. Right. So I had to have the dealer reprogram it. So I have to manually take it out of lock.
My car did that. Mine would unlock, but it was a menu item. I've got an older Suburban, an 09, but it would unlock when I put it into park.
Right.
And so I went into the menu, and it had options, and I took that out, and it's a pain, but now I have to manually unlock the car, but I don't want it to unlock the car when I put it in park, because I may want to sit in the car when I first get there, wherever it is I am. And I don't want to have an unlocked car. I guess, like just as you did, Jim, I want to be the one who decides.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, and I think what we're getting to here is we're teaching ourselves to avoid a situation. We want pure avoidance. We do not want to have to fight in a battle ever. And anybody who ever owns a gun or puts it in their holster says, God, I hope I never have to use it today. But until you're at the mentality of I'm not dressed unless I have it on, even if it's running out to get the mail from my mailbox, then you're going, it's that typical standing in front of somebody delivering a speech without your pants on. Well, you just went out to the mailbox without your pants on.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that. I think about that. I think, well, I can see the mailbox. I can see it out of my window. It's right there. No, I'm not going to walk out there without my gun because I don't know what, and I know that I have a better chance of getting hit by a bolt of lightning. Mm-hmm. But I can't wear anything that protects me from lightning, but I can wear something that gives me a fighting chance on something else. Well, and crazy is everywhere.
It only takes once. I keep telling people that. The odds of something happening are really slim. Yeah, they are extremely slim. It'll probably never happen. However, it only takes once.
But it happens every day to somebody.
Yep.
Well, if you don't think every shot matters, watch March Madness, right? Every shot matters. I mean, sorry. It is what it comes down to. Everything that you do, a minute matters. A second definitely matters. Ask a second-place Olympian. Mm-hmm. It matters. Mm-hmm. And it can ruin everything that you worked for a good 4 years plus.
Something I've noticed from new CCW folks, permit holders, a lot of this is an evolution. They get their permit, and they are scared to carry a loaded chamber, or they carry it loaded and locked. And even now, I've got buddies with external safeties who still keep their chamber empty. And, I'm phasing it into them because they just started to carry. A year ago, they weren't even carry. Now they're carrying, and they're still a little tentative. It's like, well, continue to train and, come on out, shoot, and we'll work through it. So now I've got one of my buddies who just this week started carrying chamber loaded, but the other two guys won't, and they're, they've got external safeties. Without one, it's like, I guess you really don't need that external safety much.
Right.
But I see it a lot in newbies only because I think sometimes we expect people just to, you went through the training, you should, be on board. But it's a growing process, I think.
It is. It's a process. Now, here's a question. Are we somehow, is our language not adequate when we say you need to continue to train? Do people think when we say that we're saying you need to go out to the range and practice?
Oh, I think so.
Do you think? As opposed to taking a class? Because to me, training is not practice. Training is going and taking a class.
But a lot of people think that going to the range and sending bullets down range is training. No, that's just shooting. That's just practicing. That's just making sure you're hitting at your point of aim. Or maybe it's figuring out different bullet loads or whatever it is, but it's not training. So,
unless you're using the range to work on something that you were taught at training, and now you're perfecting.
Well, that's practice. That's still not training. See, in my head, the word training means you are in a class. It means nothing else.
Okay.
And that's what I was saying. I'm wondering if maybe I need to improve my language or explain myself, because I'm thinking people are thinking that means going out to the range and shoot. That's not what I mean at all when I say training.
So maybe what we need to say is get an education.
Or classroom.
Or take classes.
Classroom.
Mm-hmm. Well, but
go take classes.
I mean, if you say get yourself an education, that doesn't mean pull the trigger and send bullets down range. That's
work with a trainer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It could be in the classroom, and it should, some of it, but most of it should be on the range.
Well, and if you don't think that it's different when you go somewhere, first of all, you're in a group of people you either do or do not know. So your heart rate's already elevated because, oh my gosh, all these people are going to watch me shoot. And what if I'm not as perfect as I think? Doesn't matter, but your heart rate is already elevated. So then when they blow that whistle and you have 2 minutes to move, advance, whatever it is, shoot this many shots, and things go bad in a hurry. or the heart goes bad in a hurry. The mind gets boggled in a hurry. It's a lot to take in.
And what's funny, though, is as you do it more and more, you're able to actually go through the whole thing and problem solve and think of what you're doing, almost like an out-of-body experience. If I set up a station where, okay, you need to shoot these 3 targets and then move over and shoot these 3 targets and then reload and move over and shoot those 3 targets, at first, you're going to be thinking, what am I supposed to do? And if they did the same thing 10 times, by the time you're done with the last one, you're moving and doing everything you're supposed to do and thinking as you do it, how should I improve? Should I move this foot here? You could process it. You just get better the more you do it. I do want to come back to, I need your help in figuring out a way to, when we're talking about this, to make sure people understand the difference between training and practice. And also I'm thinking about your point, Michelle, of when you do this over and over and you got these multiple things you have to do. I'm wondering if maybe that's where an IDPA or an IPSC competition can help you become familiar and competent and comfortable with your gun.
Oh, I got to believe that it is of huge value. I mean, you're moving, you're hitting targets, you're advancing, you're changing magazines, you're holstering. What's not to be taken from that situation?
Yeah. You should be able to do all of those things, number one, without looking at your gun. Number two, without thinking about it. You should not have to think about what's involved in dropping a mag, putting a mag in, working the slide, and getting back on target. That should just come naturally. It won't until you've done it hundreds of times. But, I don't know. I just kind of working this whole subject in my head.
And I tell people all the time, go and watch. You don't even have to participate, but go and watch these different disciplines. It is absolutely amazing what transpires in an hour or in half an hour. You can really appreciate, I don't want to use the word talent necessarily, but you can appreciate the movement, the skill level that is involved. And it's extra hobbies within itself, absolutely. But just to go and watch, you don't have to buy what they have or anything, but you can definitely watch their drills and take something out of it.
Well, one thing that might do is at least educate people to what can be done with skill with a handgun. I know that there are a lot of people who think, well, you can't hit anything with a handgun anyway, so why worry about all this? Why spend all this time doing it? And when you see people who are skillful at it and they can move and shoot, they can shoot stuff at 3 yards, but they can also shoot and hit targets at 25 yards with a handgun with no problem, then you kind of go, I can't do that. What would it take for me to be able to do that?
And the majority of these people are not sponsored, by the way.
Oh, heavens no.
They're not out there
buying
shooting
their own ammo. And
Yep. They're out there on their own doing this. So
because it's fun.
It is fun.
It's great fun.
Let's back up a little bit about that empty chamber thing. I'm wondering if that shouldn't be stressed more in carry classes. In other words, you've never touched a firearm in your life, and you realize the way the world is, you want to go and do something about it, be able to protect yourself and your family. So you go take a CCW class. You've got zero experience. I can understand why you'd be tentative to carry one in the chamber after you learned how they function and everything, and how deadly they can be, how you'd want to safeguard yourself a little bit. I get that. However, that's the perfect time to break somebody into carrying the proper way, because they are an open book, or a clean slate rather. And you can, it should be stressed more, I guess, in classes. What I'm getting at, that carry with chamber loaded, ready to go, and if you learn that way, you're more likely to carry that way instead of having to go through these steps of evolution or never advancing at all and having it cost you.
And they really are at step one in the education process, and they know they don't have competence, and they don't have confidence, and carrying an unloaded chamber is a way to address that. I get all of that. Here's my question for you. How do we get them to take the next step, to go take a full-day class that's not a required concealed carry class?
To me, and maybe it's because I'm a mom or female or whatever it is, because to me, it always comes back to the safety of my family. For my family's safety, I'm going to go and do this. For the sake of my own safety, I'm going to go do this. Because like you say all the time, Tom, I want to go home at night. I don't want, first of all, it's my mindset that I'm going to win the situation. But in order to win it, I have to go and get some education. I have to be taught how to do these different things. And by the way, we're talking about shooting in the rain, shooting in the fog, shooting with your gloves on, all those situations.
If you get to the range and it's raining, you go home.
Right? You sit under your canopy and wait.
That's right. And if it's raining and somebody mugs you, you just take a time out. Because it's raining. I'm sorry, I don't know how to shoot in the rain.
Excuse me, sir, that's bad form.
I don't want to go on the ground. It's muddy.
Don't rob people in the rain.
But, those are all the different scenarios that maybe me and my children could all be in. So, those are all the different ways to get education. And not everybody, those aren't the what ifs for everyone, but those are some of the what ifs of me, because we hear these stories. We hear, unfortunately, sometimes it's because of a horrendous situation that people come and get training. And believe me, it happens. And if you don't think it happens in your little town, you're wrong, because we hear them in our store. Yeah,
when they come to you, they come because something happened to them or somebody they know.
But you wish they would have come before to have learned to avoid that. But you got to start somewhere. So everyone starts somewhere. It doesn't matter how old you are, what your ability levels are, because you can get there. You can learn to be agile, or you learn to work within the boundaries of who you are at that time, your strengths at that time.
Let's work on an idea here then. We can craft this. As people finish their concealed carry class and they're heading out, and it's kind of that wrap-up deal that the instructor does, I am thinking of pilots. When you get your private pilot license, your first license, every instructor will tell you, okay, now you have a license to learn. And they will often say, okay, now let's talk about the situations that you're qualified to get into and those that you're not qualified. You're legal, but you're not ready for these. And let's just kind of line out, okay, we're going to want you to fly only in the daytime in good weather. And then, they're going to fly at night. And then maybe you're going to fly in these kind of conditions. And then, you're going to take on a little bit more. And you're actually kind of given an idea of what you can do and what you're maybe not ready for.
You're ready.
And how to get to the next place. I'm just wondering if we can borrow somehow from that and to say, okay, this is where you are. You are at step 1 of 100 steps. And here, let me give you ideas for 5 things. I'm just picking a number. This instructor, here's 5 things that I'm going to strongly recommend that you do. And, one may be taking another class within the next 60 days before you've lost all of this, because it's all perishable. It may be, as you said, Michelle, go attend one of these matches somewhere and have a list. Here's where they're held and all that. It may be, okay, here's 5 things. If you do these, you will now have started. You will be in it. You'll actually know what's out there for you to experience, to train.
Yeah, kind of like you went through CCW class, you got your firearms white belt. Stages
that's not a bad idea.
Or ratings, like for pilots, it's you have instrument ratings, etc. Same idea.
Same thing. Yeah, because you do in martial arts, you get your white belt and you move your way through, and you know where you are. And you know that you're a beginner and you really don't know much.
And by the time,
by virtue of the fact that that's where that's the color belt you have,
right? And by the time you're at your second or third belt, hopefully you've realized that even the black belts of varying degrees are always students, and it's the same thing with firearms. Nobody knows it all.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Well, except for me,
except for Tom. Okay, so everybody in the world except Tom,
right? Of course.
But really, I mean, these
that's
guys.
Why it's his show.
Tiger's a great. Otherwise, they'd call everybody else in the world Scrum Talk. But like Tiger's a phenomenal trainer, right? I'd say it's a pretty safe bet he still trains from other people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well,
I take a class every time I can, anywhere I can, with good, people. And if I'm somewhere and even if we're doing a TV show or somewhere, and I'll say, look, could you, just take 5 minutes and show me this one thing? Because, I've got this person here who really knows his stuff or her stuff. Yeah. I'm forever trying to milk some information out.
Heck yeah.
But you can also, in any of your spare time, immerse yourself in these books. Tiger has books
Yes.
Keith has books. I mean, there's so many legitimate writings out there that even if you can't afford, because a lot of it does come down to the cost, and we've talked about that several times, you can still immerse yourself in all of these what-if scenarios and pick up something. But don't just read it once. Go back and read it again and again.
That's right. You can become a student. You can read books. You can also watch videos. There are like a zillion, not junky, but good videos online you can watch for free. All of our stuff is available online for free. But that's a good point. I'm thinking back, we'll spin all the way back to how we got into this letter I got from this guy who had this thing happen to him this morning. And he said, the body won't go where the mind is not already gone. That's a Chris Serino line, which I like a lot. And when somebody jumped into the back of his car, he immediately knew what to do. He pulled his gun. He pushed his daughter out of the way. He stuck this gun in this guy's nose because, and this is my point, he had already done that 100 times in his head. He had, it's like, well, when did you decide to react? Oh, about 5 years ago.
Right.
It's just because he had been there before in his head, he didn't have to figure out what to do when it happened. And that, to me, is what you're talking about, Michelle, is putting yourself in there mentally through books, through videos, even just talking to people who know this stuff.
You can never have too much information, right?
And if you can pull together a group, and I don't know why, but I'm thinking about particularly a group of women, pull together a group of women who can talk about this and pull people in and do regular shoots at the range or whatever, that support group can spur you on to get better.
Amen.
Just thinking.
Like
so,
it.
in the meantime, I'm going to go take all the ammo out of all the chambers of all my guns.
Right.
I'm afraid.
Be nice.
Because if you pull the trigger, it might go off.
Be nice. Those people are still one of us.
They are, and I'm trying not, I'm trying not to be mean about it, but at the same time, I want to be forceful, and it's trying to find that place to say, look, because my fear is if I'm not forceful, they won't listen. And I just want to say, this is wrong. I understand why you feel like you want to do this, but you're accommodating your inadequacy the wrong way, and you're never going to get better. You're never going to gain any more competence by simply walking around with a gun that doesn't have a round in the chamber.
So that is the same as, and maybe this is the way we can represent it, is putting a trigger lock on your gun, but having it loaded.
You got to
Sure.
fiddle with the trigger lock to be able to use it. Yeah.
Get that off so you can use it. Well, same thing.
And
get your gun loaded and get
that.
it. Get your safety off so you can use it.
See, I like Tom's idea about just breaking their opposite arm with the baseball bat, like you mentioned.
What?
That's what he said.
Oh my gosh!
During the
I
show.
don't think that's what I said.
You said somebody comes up and breaks your arm. Now what are you going to do? So maybe if we
But you're
just
saying
broke
we should do that in
people's arms.
training?
I would think break a couple people's arms would kind of set a precedent for the rest of the people in class. I mean, you'd catch on pretty quick. I would
Oh my
think.
gosh!
Jim Kinsey, Trainer of the Year.
That's like mafia tactic right there. Like, my goodness.
Oh boy!
Make an example. Just pick somebody. Make an example of that person.
I better listen to what this guy has to say. Holy cow!
But by the way, he wears a vest.
That's true. That's true.
We're not talking ballistic vest, huh?
Right. Yeah. The padded room.
And a pork pie hat, too. It's kind of cute. Okay, so don't break their arms. It's just kidding anybody in case you really thought we were going to do that.
Or you'd be amazed how many times people say, I can't believe you said such and such. I'm going, well, that's because I never said that. Go back and listen. Oh, okay.
Because Jim said you said it.
Jim said it. Right. Okay, so,
okay.
All right. Train. Get training, that's a class. Practice, that's going out and shooting. Study, that's videos and books. And take it seriously. And you know what it is? And, you guys have done this. Whether you did it out loud or not, you made a promise to your family that you're going to be there for them and help them. That's the promise that's implicit in your actions, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. That you made that promise. You said, I will be there for you. And that means I will take care of myself so that I will be there for you.
That's right.
You said maybe whether you said it out loud or not, or aloud or not, maybe that's part of your getting dressed in the morning routine. Look yourself in the mirror and say, my family is priority one.
Mm-hmm. And whether or not I'm actually physically protecting them at the moment, if I protect myself, I'm protecting my family from the horrendous grief that would come if something happened to me.
Right. You have to be around to help them.
There it is. Okay, well, I'm not going to be around here anymore because I'm leaving.
Good luck. I got to go find a baseball bat. I got a shooting
go.
class in 2
I'll talk
hours.
to you later.
Michelle, you might want to leave now
I'm leaving.
before he finds his baseball bat.
Be safe, guys.
All right. Absolutely. That's what it's about. Take care.
Bye. Well, that wraps up another Gun Talk After Show. But if you want even more gun-related stuff, don't forget to check out Gun Dealio. It's the app for Apple and Android phones that connects you to all the Gun Talk shows, plus even more. And we'll catch you next time for the Gun Talk After Show.